Not only am I afraid of the power that resides within my body, I don't have faith in that power. I'm not very familiar with it, or as familiar as I could be. And so this leads me to have a fear of pregnancy, sometimes a fear of sex, sometimes a fear of giving birth, childbirth, and delivery. And sometimes it seems like that's how society is set up, for us to be afraid of our bodies as women, to be unsure of how they work, and not to trust ourselves when it comes to our self-care or how we deliver babies. I'm Latia, and I have a big fear of giving birth and pregnancy, and my anxiety has been around that lately, even though I haven't even been sleeping with people or anything. And I have a sister who is very interested in becoming a doula and has been doing a lot of research on pregnancy, childbirth prevention, and all the things that go with it. She was talking to me, and I just wanted to share with others some of the information that I've learned, because it makes a lot of sense and it could be useful for someone else. So I hope you enjoy listening to me as I share this information that I've learned. And I share it because it's helped me to feel a little more comfortable about the idea of having a baby, because I have been so afraid of it, just as an idea, as like delivery always looks so painful. It looks really gross because there's this child that's been living in fluids for months that comes out into the world for the very first time. And babies don't look like, fresh out the womb babies don't look that cute. So it's just like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be this ugly little thing that comes out and it's gonna look really weird and creepy, and it's gonna be thrown on my chest and all of this other stuff. But I digress. So when it comes to childbirthing, something that my sister shared with me is a video on hypnobirthing, and also a video where a woman gave birth to her child on her own. Like, she's just at home in a tub chilling out, and all of a sudden she just kind of like and then like reaches down and whips up a baby, and it was just like, what in the world? I've never seen birth look so chill. And the woman in the TED Talk talks about how she talks about how birth can be a good experience, and how she's had 3 children, and how each time she had them, she learned and made better choices. Like in her first one, she told her mother-in-law, and that just added to the stress and pressure of the situation, while she was trying to stay calm, stay grounded, like work with the moment and like breathe and be patient. And I found it interesting because in hypnobirthing, they call contractions surges instead of contractions, which sounds like a calmer way of looking at it, and kind of makes it sound like, oh, it's just a surge, like just a rush of energy. And I looked up some YouTube videos on my own because I was just fascinated by it. And there's like 2 different ways of breathing that they have, where when you're in the active labor and everything is pulling up and contracting and making space for the baby to come out, there's like up breathing that you use. And then whenever it's time to like push and like the baby's coming out, there's like down breathing that you use to like release it. And one of the things that stood out to me is the position of giving birth. They talk about how when you're laying on your back, like you're going against gravity. And the one woman compares it to taking a poop. She's like, you wouldn't go into the middle of a forest, lay on your back and try to take a poop. You'd be squatting, and like you'd also might be poop shy, so you might not want people to be around you as you're about to take a poo. And that could be what it's like when you're giving birth. You don't want all of these people in your business looking at you, being like, what's going on? Like, let's feel around and like, let's poke at you. It makes people tense, and like the tension you feel in your body relates to how painful the birthing process is. And something my sister told me, which was interesting, is that epidural, like if you give birth naturally without an epidural, you're usually up and running the next day. Like you recover quickly, you're fine. But what happens in my imagination with an epidural is you're either going to push too hard because you can't feel it, you're not going to realize what's going on because you're numbed out, and you can like push way too hard and like tear yourself in ways that are unnecessary because your body didn't need that much force. Like, our bodies are made to give birth. We've been doing it since the beginning of people making babies. And it makes sense that like the birthing position, instead of being on your back, would be like standing or squatting or something like that. And so it was just really interesting to learn more about a process where there's birth positivity and an opportunity to give birth in a way that's not as painful as it looks on TV. Because like, for me, looking at those videos and how in pain, like screaming and growling and like, I can't do this and all the things, it freaks me out. I am absolutely terrified in normal times, like looking at videos. But with the hypnobirthing as an option, it makes me feel like, oh, this is natural. My mom had 4 babies. I know someone else who's had 4 babies. I know someone, like, my grandparents are like one of over 10 each. Like, one is one of 11, I believe, and the other is one of like 16 or 17. And there were like 22 child like pregnancies involved. So it's like, this is something natural that my body's meant to do, and I've become so afraid of it because it's made to look traumatizing. It looks scary. People are just screaming and they're squeezing people hard and they're hurting everybody. And there's so much pain and tension involved in it. And it's so dramatized that it's just hard to not be traumatized from watching it. And I've been traumatized. I just will feel calm about childbirth. Like, okay, it's all right. I'm not even having sex right now. We're good. We're fine. Like, there's no babies coming over here. And then I watched a delivery story video and she talked about tears and being mended. And I was just like, I'm freaking out again. I can't do this. I never want it. It sounds so awful. She was like in pain for like, it sounded like a week of pain after delivering a child. And I was just like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to be in pain for a week from delivering a child. Like, granted, you have a whole lifetime to recover and enjoy the benefits of having a child, but that's a lot to go through for making a baby. So I was kind of freaked out about that. But even after watching that, it was like, oh, she had an epidural, and her partner, and I watched their YouTube videos, and her partner was talking about how she was making really intense faces as she was doing it. So she might have been pushing a little too hard than needed. And she was also on her back. And so I'm like, oh, there could be a lot of things that went into making it a lot more intense than it needed to be. So that kind of helped calm my nerves a bit, because I was like, if she went through all that pain, what am I going to go through? But it's like, I don't have to go through that experience, and everyone's is different, and what everybody needs is different. So hopefully, whenever I do choose to have a baby, and she gave me tips on choosing to have a baby as well, like using ovulation tests to make sure I'm not in a fertile window, using LH strips to check and see like if ovulation has begun to make sure I'm outside of that range, using basal body thermometers to see like what the body temperature is so you can tell if you have ovulated or not. There's so many tricks and tips my little sister has given me, and they have like calmed me down. We were just talking about it and I was like, okay, still shaky because I just get squeamish about everything basically, but I felt so much calmer afterwards and was really glad that we talked about it. So I don't know if this video is helpful. It's kind of a rant, but I might talk about it again in a more structured, researched format so I can share links and all that good stuff. I guess comment if that would be useful, because I don't want to waste my time or yours by adding stuff that's not necessary. But I might do it for my sake because I found it fascinating and I'm excited to learn more. And for me to be excited to learn more about delivering babies is like crazy, because I definitely have been so afraid of it my whole life. Like, I remember watching my aunt watch a birthing video and they blurred it out, and there's just all this gross stuff gushing out of the woman, and I was like, I am traumatized for life. I'm still recovering from that one moment in childhood. But thank you for watching. If you've watched this far, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.